All right, welcome. Let me just get myself organized as to what we're going to be reading tonight. I feel like that's wolfy sometimes, shifting. Okay, so happy Friday, happy weekend, you guys. Apologize for being a little bit off when it comes to the scheduling of the reads. I meant to do Tuesday, Thursday, midnight, and it ended up being Wednesday, not midnight, and now at midnight. But you know, what is time anyways? Time travel, space travel, whatever. So welcome to the weekend and thank you guys for joining. So I'm going to do a couple of things. Just one second. Let me make sure. We're going to revisit this read. Let me just flip it. So I have the follow-up to this read actually on my YouTube, and I actually did that when I was in Winnipeg with you guys. But before we do that, we will be revisiting the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths, just because I realize whenever I read that story with you guys, oh my gosh, my starlights are behind me. You can see a little bit of the green on me. Hi, Sam J. Hope you're well. Welcome to the live. But what I really wanted to start with was I have to return some books to the library tomorrow on Saturday. Fun fact, when I was a nerdy little girl growing up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, I used to go to the library every Saturday on like winter weekends when I was younger, before we went skating on the pond, and we would go to the library and I would take out all these books on like fantasy and sci-fi and then read all of them and then go back and do it again. Hi Pokey, welcome. So the power of myth. Gosh, what's going on? I wanted to preface some of the storytelling and the importance of storytelling with this, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with Joseph Campbell, but he was a very, I shouldn't say he came up with the hero's journey, but I think in terms of like teaching about the hero's journey and the importance of things like mythology and sacred storytelling in our reality in this world, part of why I read comic books with you guys. He needed to grow. Wolfie got jealous today. Well, you got to see Wolfie in like full cat form today. Pokey's very has cats, right? And I was playing D&D yesterday, and it's a crazy thing, right? I get so emotionally involved in storytelling, and in my campaign, I named my character Mayari after the Filipino goddess of the moon. And I just found some like extra stuff about her. So tomorrow I'm planning on cosplaying as Mayari and revisiting some stuff from like the manga of Sailor Moon. So I don't know if you guys know that like there's a whole bunch of stuff really, really esoteric about Sailor Moon past like the first season that I loved in terms of like the first dub in the 90s, which I still love to this very day, right? And hi, you guys, I clipped it. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Where Wolfie was basically grooming my husband on live television, you know, as doggies do. Hi, Gwen Stacy. How are you? So, The Power of Myth, Joseph Campbell. Just to nerd out with you guys for a little bit, in case, you know, school and education seem really boring or unimportant, I'm going to break it down in such a way that, like, hopefully you get some storytelling and some, like, I like to call it, like, imagination empowerment, right? So that, let's get nerdy. Greco Vision, I love it. I guess there's like a differentiation between nerds and geeks, but that's not for me to discuss today. That's not really the point. I think the point is, when you have a favorite story, when you have a favorite character, when you have all of these kinds of things, it's not like anyone told you to do that, right? Like no one told you what your favorite flavor of ice cream is or what your favorite donut is. Like, speaking of which, if you have a favorite donut or favorite ice cream flavor too, please do drop it in the chat. My favorite, I mean, I have a problem with terms of my favorites because I have a Gemini moon. So Geminis tend to be air sign. Well, Libras aren't like this, but Geminis tend to be very fluid. Let's put it that way, very flexible. And so when it comes to favorites, my moon sign being in Gemini, I tend to be like, oh, I typically do just like vanilla ice cream with like cool toppings on it, right? Like with like hot fudge on top of it kind of thing. When I was younger, I used to love going to like ice cream parlor shops and getting like Super Kid or like Tiger, or like the really, really exotic flavors, right? Or donut wise, I was talking about this with you, Gwen Stacy. Like I love apple fritter or like maple flavored stuff. Yeah, that will happen though, Pokey. At some point in time, it's like, well, you know, if you think about it, we haven't entered. It's coming up very soon, the new lunar year of the fire horse. Hi, Dandy Money Man. How are you? Welcome to the late night read. Tonight's read is actually going to be a revisitation to this story. I've read the story that came before it, but we're going to first go back to Crisis. But before I do all of that, we're going to talk a little bit about the power of myth with Joseph Campbell. Now, Joseph Campbell, I don't like to idolize people or like, let's say, avatars or individuals, like even though they are probably very talented teachers. But I first came to Joseph Campbell when I was in high school and learning about the hero's journey, right? And if you're not familiar with the hero's journey, it's but one archetype by which you can go through reality or the world, right? So this idea of like, you know, you get a call to adventure, and then once you get this call, you get like a magical kind of assistance. And so we mapped it in grade 10 to Star Wars, right? So A New Hope follows the hero's journey pretty well, right? Like you have like Luke Skywalker out on Tatooine, you know, things are normal, or like the hobbits out at the Shire, like, all right, things are cool, but then like something happens, a wizard shows up, Obi-Wan shows up being like, save me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. And so this call to adventure. Then you have this idea of going into the abyss. And so in A New Hope, they go into like the garbage compactor, right? And so it's this idea of going into the darkness where you find yourself. And so from the bottom of that cycle, you come back out. And so there's a lot of comfort to be had in that hero's journey, because oftentimes when we go through dark times of our life, it can feel like, oh, this is going to like last forever. This is horrible. But really, it's just a realization of like, we're just in this part of the story, right? And, you know, it's always darkest before the dawn. And if we have some awareness of the story that we're in, you'll realize that like things do work out at some point, right? Then we choose, you do choose your own story. It just sometimes can feel hard to feel like you have any say in the matter oftentimes. So once upon a time, I read you guys, see here, what did I want to, I clipped a section and I read it to my hubby beforehand because I had actually mentioned this part of the story or this part of the book on one of my lives before, but then I didn't talk about it. Like, I don't think I did it justice in speaking about it. So I'm just going to read you from the book. This is page 1110 of The Power of Myth. So it's good. So this whole story is actually a conversation. It's a transcribed conversation at Skywalker Ranch between Joseph Campbell and this guy Moyer who's interviewing him, which kind of goes to show that how like a lot of things come out in conversation, right? Like, it's one thing to just be like one person speaking or having like a monologue, and it's another thing when you have dialogue, right? When you have another person speaking. So, let's hear. This is the origin of the headhunt in Southeast Asia, particularly in Indonesia. The headhunt is a sacred act, a sacred killing. Before a young man can be permitted to marry and become a father, he must go forth and have his kill. Unless there is death, there cannot be birth. The significance of that is that every generation must die in order for the next generation to come. As soon as you beget or give birth to the child, you are the dead one. Your child is now the new life, and you are simply the protector of that new life. And Moyer says back to Campbell, so your time has come. And Campbell says, yes. And that is why there is the deep psychological association of begetting and dying. Moyer says back, is there some relationship between what you are saying and the fact that a parent will give his or her life for a child? Campbell says back, I love this story. So this is now it can be said properly. I said it like paraphrasing last time, but it was off the top of my head. And Campbell does a better job of saying this. So thanks, you guys, for joining. This is The Power of Myth, and then we're going to go into some stories that I really love with you guys. A revisitation of this story of Supergirl as Supergirl, Kara Zor-El, right? Hi, Paul. Welcome. And Gwen Stacy, thank you for liking the live. So let's get into it. This is in Campbell's words. There is a magnificent essay by Schopenhauer in which he asks, how is it that a human being can so participate in the peril or pain of another that without thought, why can't I say that right now? Spontaneously? Oh my gosh, he sacrificed his own life to the other. Spontaneously. Oh, there, something like that. How can it happen that when we normally think of as the first law of nature and self-preservation is suddenly dissolved? So let's transport ourselves to Hawaii. So in Hawaii, some 4 or 5 years ago, there was an extraordinary event that represents this problem. There is this place called the Pali, where the trade winds from the north come rushing through a great ridge of mountains. People like to go up there and get their hair blown about, or sometimes to commit suicide. You know, something like jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. One day, 2 policemen were driving up the Pali Road when they saw, just beyond the railing that keeps the cars from rolling over, a young man preparing to jump. The police car stopped, and the policeman on the right jumped out to grab the man, but caught him just as he jumped, and he himself was also being pulled over when the second cop arrived just in time and pulled the 2 of them back. Do you realize what had suddenly happened to that policeman who had given himself to death with that unknown youth? Everything else in his life had dropped off. His duty to his family, his duty to his job, his duty to his own life. All of his wishes and hopes for his lifetime had just disappeared. He was about to die. Later, a newspaper reporter asked him, "So, why didn't you let go? You could have been killed." And the reported answer was this: I couldn't let go. If I had let that young man go, I couldn't have lived another day of my life. How come? Schopenhauer's answer is that such a psychological crisis represents the breakthrough of a metaphysical realization, which is that you and that other are one. Oh yeah, where are we? That you are 2 aspects of the one life, and that your apparent separateness is but an effect of the way we experience forms under the conditions of space and time. Our true reality is in our identity and unity with all life. This is a metaphysical truth which may become spontaneously, realized under circumstances of crisis. For it is this, according to Schopenhauer, the truth of your life. The hero is the one who has given his physical life to some order of realization to that truth. The concept of love your neighbor is to put you in tune with this fact. But whether you love your neighbor or not, when the realization grabs you, you may indeed risk your life. That Hawaiian policeman didn't know who the young man was to whom he had given himself. Schopenhauer declares that in small ways you can see this happening every day, all the time, moving life in the world, people doing selfless things to and for each other. And so when Jesus says, love thy neighbor as thyself, he is saying to effect, love thy neighbor because he is yourself. There is a beautiful figure in the Oriental tradition, the Bodhisattva, I can't say that, whose nature is boundless compassion, and from whom those fingertips there is said to drop ambrosia down to the lowest depths of hell. And what is the meaning of that? At the end of the Divine Comedy, Dante realizes that the love of God and informs the whole universe down to the lowest pits of hell. So it goes on more and more about all of this. And this is just a snippet of this whole conversation. And I'm not going to get into more of it at this point. I just wanted to preface this with, because what he was saying about crisis, right? How like in times of crisis, spontaneous, like, why can't I say that word right now? To be spontaneity? There. That's that. But spontaneous. Yeah, there it is. I was like said it in my head, and then I was trying to say it, and I was like, why is that so weird? Dante's Inferno. Oh my goodness. Have you guys seen the anime of that? Dante's Inferno. What a really, like, I love anime for that. So stay tuned tomorrow. I'm going to be reading a Sailor Moon manga. One of the later editions where they actually bring in a lot of astrology and like the 0 star of Sagittarius, the birthplace of stars, we as having star seed crystal heart crystals, right? Seen a bit of the game. Oh yeah, I haven't played the game. I should play the game. I mean, it's funny because I think EA, and my sister works for EA, did the game, and it's funny how video games and comic books and movies, they all kind of like feed each other's canon, and it's like, yes, all connected, everything is everything else kind of thing, right? But you are also you, uniquely you, and only you too. So what a fun conundrum is that? Not meant, I think, for us to really fully realize in 3D land. I think fun for us to ponder, have conversations like this where I don't think it's meant for us to have one answer to it. That's not the point. If we were so simple to understand, wouldn't be quite so fun being here, right? Okay, so the reason why I did that was to preface this read for tonight as well as this one. Now, the power of meth or math? Oh, are you trying to say myth, or is that a typo? Oh, let me go back to this. It's a cool cover, too. I gotta return this back to the library tomorrow, too, as well. It's Joseph Campbell, The Power of Myth. But if you want to look into more Joseph Campbell stuff, he has a beautiful way of putting together all the different stories in a universal kind of truth perspective, right? Which is, I see the same kind of thing. I look at it from comic books, right? Comic books are very unique. Sure. I basically just live in the library. In my own fantasy novel series, all the libraries are every library in every timeline, like the Library of Alexandria, right, that got burned down. Think of all the scrolls and all the magic and all the information that we should have had that were like burned down. And many libraries have been burned down. Many things have been destroyed where we end up forgetting, right? Because that's why we write things down, because that's why it's known to be knowing things by heart, to know a story by heart, to know. That's why we put things in music or make rhymes about it to help us remember things, right? Because when we forget, that's a big part of consciousness, right? And sometimes things have always been there. We just come to awareness of it, right? So, Crisis on Infinite Earths, I've read you guys a few times, but I don't think I've ever read you the conclusion. Uh, this is like a jump off point for a lot of the other multiverse stories that happen in the DC universe, right? Because up until this point, there is just kind of like creation of all these different worlds and universes. Hi, Zona X, how are you? Well, happy Friday, happy weekend, warriors. We're also in Aquarius season. Happy birthday again, Pokey, Nathan. Aquarius season is a spicy time, and we're coming towards Valentine's Day, and February 3rd was actually mine and my hubby's 11-year wedding anniversary. So 11 years ago, we got married on the beach in Mexico, and we went to the temples and stuff. So I wanted to bring this up because Mexico and the mythology there with Quetzalcoatl and the dragons there and Venus, there's some fun stuff there that infuses with like comic book lore and this concept of like what parts of the story resonate with you in your own personal like game of life, in your own comic book, that at the end of your life, you know, will sit in this beautiful library, which like all of us can come revisit. And, you know, we can come back to this at any time kind of situation, right? Time is an interesting thing, right? It can sometimes feel like we're like trapped in time, but if we didn't have time, then everything would just be happening on top of each other, right? So it's like this idea of like you need a beginning, middle, and end to have a story, and that's a concept of time too, as opposed to being like, oh, it's like 12:24 p.m. kind of thing. Hi, Red Heron, how are you? Welcome to the weekend. Yes, and let's get into it. So I was reading you guys a little bit about the power of myth. There's this definition of a hero that I really like, where it's the concept of like what it takes to be a hero is when you give your physical life over to a higher purpose, right? Whatever that is. It's this idea of what I want doesn't matter. I'm giving it up to, you know, to love, to honor, to hope, to like my brothers and sisters, my family, my friends, right? It's for you guys, right? And in doing that, you realize it's for you too. Like that's the beautiful thing about like anything you give away, you get back, right? And there's like some wonderful universal truths that for a long time, I think, let's say like evil magicians in this reality have been trying to co-opt, but there is a grand correction at play with certain beings who are here to live out certain stories and inspire the right people and, you know, keep things going, right? Because where it feels like there's times of darkness and great crisis, there is a way out. There always is, right? It's just the truth of things, you know? Bad guys hate that stuff. So I have so you can see I have like post-it notes here for certain parts with like conversations and parts that I like in this. If this was like a class, you know, I've been working on trying to bring the Cosmic Comic Book Club like as a real like legit book club, right? Jason, that's very sweet. That's an interesting thing to say. I strive to be, you know, I don't like to pretend that I don't have vices, right? And things like that. I think we live in this culture where, especially in things like spirituality or esoteric stuff, or even fandom like this, like cosplay, modeling, photography, we tend to idolize or want people to be gurus, right? We like prop them up just to like bring them down. Like I would love it if I could get like Britney Spears in my new movie, you know? I really feel for her, like in terms of, I feel for like Amanda Bynes. There's a lot of girls that I like, you know, your mental health, like going through the churn of what Hollywood must be like, and because I've gone through it on like a like let's say like a lower level. I'm gonna call it a lower level because your own life is not a lower level, right? It's just like your own personal sphere or perspective of things, and just all the times you have to like put aside what your soul wants in order to survive in the matrix over time, that just like causes fractures and challenges, right? And it can sometimes show up as like physical disease. And I don't think that we have great ways in our society to deal with it. Like we like to say that we're like tolerant, not, yeah, that we're tolerant of like mental health and like get therapy, but we'll also like laugh at people. Oh, you're crazy, right? Or like, ha ha ha, Brittany looks nuts. Not like, but like they've gone through stuff, you know? So like, why do we laugh at that stuff? And then expect like when we go through things for people to have empathy for us and compassion to us. Like we get what we give, right? And um I just try to do my best for the people that I love in my life, that I can give like my energy to them, right? There's no point in saving the world when like, you know, the people that you love most aren't like there with you in it. You know, like going out here, going out there, trying to like save the bees and the trees out here and being an activist and going to protest. But like, you know, maybe like go out with your friend for lunch who's like feeling depressed and going through a breakup, you know? Maybe, I don't know, like buy flowers for someone who like, I don't know, just there are little things we can do every day for each other where we can be each other's superheroes. And I think I want you guys to feel more empowered to do that. And in doing that, we heal ourselves too. It's a fun little thing that happens. So speaking of healing from crisis, we're going to actually, oh, John McNary, thank you for that. And I wasn't really going to go live tonight. I really was supposed to go live last night, but I D&D on Thursday nights. And so sometimes we go late and we're coming to the end of the story in Forgotten Realms. So it's been hard. So I might have to like revisit how I do that schedule. We'll see. And Relax Junior, hi, welcome to the weekend. Some of my great aunts, it's almost their 90 soon. Gwen Stacy, that's cool to have that in, to have people in your family still alive who remember a time before time kind of thing. Because I know I love stories like that and sharing stories and, you know, all like your genetic code stories that exist in you and stuff. And, you know, there's something to be said about how we remember things in our head, right? As they stay in our head, and then versus when we get them out, right? Either by talking, like dialogue, having tea and conversation, or by like, you know, writing it down. But there is this idea of sometimes like even if nobody else but you reads it, just to get it out in like from your head outward, just so you can actually maybe look at it and deal with it, right? My granny will be 73. Ah, happy birthday. That's soon, 10th of, yeah, very soon on Tuesday. I don't like being the dungeon master, Pokey. I don't. It's a lot of responsibility. You gotta be all the NPCs, all the stuff like that. But I have my own homebrew astrology D&D game that I'm working on that's based on like my own book, but that's been taking a long time to like put together with all the other projects I have on the go. So anyways, thank you. I'm not even a spicy type either. It's true, Punky. I call it game master in my story. So let's it's if you are not a big comic book person, I do recommend you guys watch the animated movie. I think it comes in like 3 parts of Crisis on Infinite Earths. It came out, I think, in 2023, 2024. There's a beautiful tribute to Kevin Conroy, was one of the animated voices of Batman in it as well. And it changes quite a few things, just because I've noticed like I can have a lot of forgiveness for how like things are done in live action, even animation that's not true to comic book, because comic books are truly a very unique medium. right? Because a lot of it, the focus of it is dialogue, and everything else is just given to you by way of illustration. And illustration is a lot different than when you're trying to do something video, right? Like being a photographer versus being a cinematographer, related but also different, right? So let's see here. Let's just go into it. We're going to end off here. We're going to have now we're going to go into the conclusion of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Oh, Jason, thank you. Love that. My prairie girl self and my future ranch thanks you for that. I have a dream for that. Okay, so Crisis on Infinite Earths. Let's go. The conclusion. Death at the dawn of time. That's dramatic, no? Brainiac is destroyed. Now, Simon says Luther must die as well. You two really had a scheme going on there, didn't you? Not nice, Luther. Not nice at all. Recruiting all of us so-called supervillains, sending us to take over 3 of the Earths and to battle their mightiest heroes. And no matter which side won, you intended to pick up the pieces and rule by yourselves. Which is what villains usually do, right? Like, that's usually the plan, right? Like, they're like, okay, we'll work with the heroes, and then after we save reality in the universe, we'll just take over and we'll have it for ourselves, right? I am so into it, trust me. I'm gonna hopefully stream the next week's my D&D campaign. So in my D&D campaign, I have my character Mayari Moonchild. She's a moon elf, and she has an older big brother named Apoloki, and it's based on Filipino mythology of the sun and moon god and goddess and their brother and sister, and they get into a fight. And Mayari loses an eye, and that's why the moon is less bright than the sun. But anyways, in it, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Forgotten Realms, but we're in like a dungeon essentially, right? Because it's D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. And Mayari's older brother has now been like taken over and become like this evil warden guy. And so to role play that, I got all like emotional about it. And Dungeon Master sent me a message later, like the other thing was like, "Are you okay?" Like, I hope I'm like, yeah, I just get into it. That's all, because I can just imagine, like what it's like, like any of those stories where like there's like alien takeover, or like they become zombies and then you're like, you're not the person that I know anymore, or they become vampires and that kind of thing. My girlfriend turned into the moon. Yeah, that's a common story. It's a common myth. Like that the moon is actually a goddess that's watching over us, and she's just, if you need her, she'll like come down in like an avatar kind of thing. So, continuing onward. So just to get you guys, if you guys aren't familiar with this story, we're at a point where like, there is this entity known as the Anti-Monitor, which is trying to basically eat up worlds to fuel the antimatter universe. Okay, so we have the villains and the heroes working together to stop the end of existence, right, from this Anti-Monitor thing. It's like undoing reality. Okay. So, and no matter which side won, you intended to pick up the pieces and rule by yourselves. And fortunately, I am a rather suspicious type. I stayed behind and I overheard you. So now will you die while I let your plan continue, only with me in charge? Such a good plan, Luther. Simon thanks you for it. What a shame you won't live long enough to enjoy it. And then down here we have like the monitor tapes, which kind of have like these flashback sequences of all these universes and worlds that used to exist before they got like eaten up by like the Anti-Monitor and the Antimatter universe, right? So and just so you guys know how Simon is spelt, it's not like Simon like Simon says. It's like, Simon like psychic power, psionic, PSI, right? Who is the most famous painter? To you or to me? Wolf? Who's your most famous painter? I mean, you could always be like Van Gogh or, oh my gosh, I wasn't a big art student. I was more into like Shakespeare and like Marlowe and poetry and stuff. Uh, oh, or do you mean like in terms of comic book, most famous artist is not famous for his art? I don't know, fame is one of those things when it comes to artists, right? And like think about all the artists who became famous after they died, right? I think I watched a movie once. No, no, no. I think it was like The Hitchhiker, an episode where like William Dafoe, who was actually the Green Goblin, he played like this artist who like pretended to die so that his work would become more valuable, right? So I don't know, weird thing. I don't really know Wolf. I off the top of my head, I'm saying Van Gogh, but I'm not going to pretend that I know art very well. Or Leonardo da Vinci, I kind of like him a lot. So. And William Dafoe was a good goblin, right? He has that face. He's already kind of goblin looking like. And I don't know if you guys saw The Lighthouse with him and the Batman guy, Robert Pattinson. It's kind of a crazy movie. Robert Pattinson was actually a pretty good Batman. I thought. No. Anyways, let's continue onwards. uh, let's see here. There are some fun things where Supergirl deals with Batman. Like she like sells him like Kryptonian technology so that she can have some. Because Superman is kind of like an overbearing family member, so she has like to grow up. She doesn't. Fun fact about Supergirl: she's actually older than Superman, even though she's Supergirl, and the reason being is that when Kal-El was sent to Earth, he he came right away, was a baby, like found by Martha and John, grew up, became Superman. That was like 30 years, right? Supergirl, Kara, was sent afterwards, but her capsule ended up being in stasis for about 30 years, circling the Earth. And so she stayed about like 16 years old while Cal grew up and became like 30, right? So that's like the weird thing of like she has memories of him being like this little shit, this little baby, and now he's like grown up and become the super, and she's like, and you have powers and I have powers. It's like a crazy thing. So I hope in the Supergirl movie they address kind of like those kinds of differences between Cal and Kara, because that is a cool way to kind of show the expression of like how, you know, your character type or character development happens based on like environmental factors or like even in yourself, right? If you have like certain talents and how those end up, you know, becoming honed or experienced, or how you use them is based on a lot of like things or other things besides like, you know, one way of going about it. Okay, so nor shall you, Simon, and then there's a big blast to the head. Ah, this ship is part of me. Each circuit interfaces with one of mine. I monitored your presence from the moment you came aboard. You could not hide from me. You're a fool to think that you could. Brainiac? But I saw him destroy you. No, I transferred my data into my ship's computers. Only my outer shell was destroyed, and I was able to command the living metal of this vessel to form a new one. Oh, hello. Oh my goodness. Let me just make sure I can read your name. Hi, Drew. And Lion Man 22. I like the encoding of your guys' names sometimes. Brando, thank you for following. And oh, my fan club is growing. And as I went off on a tangent before, I told you guys how like trying to work on the Cosmic Comic Book Club where we have like a read, and this story, Crisis on Infinite Earths, oh my gosh, Sono X, it's like we were on like the same wavelength. I was about to just say like, this is one of my favorite storylines. And a lot of people are like, isn't Supergirl reading Crisis on Infinite Earths like Supergirl reading her obituary? I'm like, yes, but it's the biggest story where Supergirl shows that she's a true hero, right? Because she gives herself up. Because it's about protecting Superman. Supergirl knows how important Superman is to Earth, right? So she's willing to give her physical self up in order to protect him. Plus, she loves him. So there's just like that too in terms of like protecting, right? And doing like big sister things, right? And doing what you can to help your friends. And just even when like Barry came back in Final Crisis, he like is telling Wally, he's like, it was never about me coming back, Wally. I was always just here to save Superman. So there's a tell there when it comes to that in terms of when we give ourselves up to a higher purpose, you find your own immortality. You unlock yourself when you finally are free from like that fear of like death, right? That fear of like, oh no, like what if this and what if that? But you just do the right thing anyways, right? So, okay, let's skip a little ahead here because I did want to read to the end of this, and I feel like I might have started a little. Oh my gosh! And then there's like these other aftershock. Oh yeah, the aftershock's pretty crazy too. So let me go a little bit. There's a lot that happens here. We got the Shazam things. You're funny. So we're on. It's like, if we were like reading. All right, class, we're on 275 of Crisis on Infinite Earths, written by Marv Wolfman and illustrated by George Perez. Feel free to follow along. Redhead's right, and I'm a mighty angry robot at that. You, kid, shake your head if you're Batson. Well, I guess that means yes. Don't worry, pal. I'm called the Atom. I'm one of the good guys. Don't wiggle. I was told to cut your gag. Only nobody told me why. I still don't know what a kid can do that the rest of us can't. Thanks, Adam, but I'm more than just a kid. Shazam! Now you call me Captain Marvel. And this is, in the time where Shazam was Captain Marvel and wasn't. Oh, thanks for that, catching that. And then down here, it has like a lot of what they call the monitor tapes, which are like flashbacks or like memories, recordings of like the worlds that have passed or been eaten up by the monitor prior to this time, right? So in the 30th century, the Anti-Monitor destroyed Tacron Gallios, the prison planet, into a universe already doomed. This one there. Valius, the Persuader, Dr. Regulus, Lightning Lord. How many others survived? How many other worlds did they destroy? Oh my gosh, the Legion of Superheroes couldn't destroy it, didn't stop them. Nobody could. Oh, okay, I think this whole thing under here is like a whole story on itself. And I have a whole thing about Legion of Superheroes because I love Saturn Girl and like Lightning Lad and all of that stuff. Legion of Superheroes actually inspired the X-Men. So that's a fun thing about how the worlds work and how we inspire each other in creation. Jason, thanks for that. Thanks for the Rosa. I'm going to continue on with just like the colored panels just because this is kind of like its own storyline. Saturn Girl is totally underrated. I love her a lot. Like, Jeff Johns, I think he talks about how she's, I think, his favorite superhero. And Jeff Johns has written some storylines like Blackest Night and The Grid, which I'm going to be releasing on my YouTube, I think, tomorrow. And just like Doomsday Clocks, also Jeff Johns. But he said he loved Saturn Girl the most because Saturn Girl is like a master telepath, right? Kind of like Jean Grey in X-Men. And she knows everyone's deepest, darkest secrets. And he says that if Saturn Girl, knowing everything about everybody, their deepest, like all like the shameful stuff that you like hide, and she still believes in humanity, then it means like, that's a good thing, right? To still believe in like the good of people no matter what, even though you know all this like dark stuff about it is, yeah. Young Justice, at least. That's cool. That's cool. Who played her? I'm gonna have to take a look at that. I'm working on an outfit of Saturn Girl. She's got this one pink outfit that's pretty hot. But Legion of Superheroes is kind of underrated, and there's a comic book that I have at like the reference library here down in downtown Toronto, that I need to kind of revisit, because that library is also under attack from our government. They want to tear it down and put a condo there. So I'm going to try to work on something with them to maybe like we can have like a little like save our library. We don't need more condos. We need like community spaces. Like, what's the point if you have like everyone living here and like for what, right? Oh, I am reading today. Yeah. All right, so we're now on Earth X. Come on together, says Batman. Keep pushing forward. The outsiders are doing the best we can, Batman. You okay, Tin? Hawkwoman, I think I've been better. Vixen, watch out. So they're just doing their best at the end of the time of the world to protect the world. Good Lord, I've never seen an energy influx like that before. Hold on, something's happening. Holy Hannah, do you see that reading? What is it? And then you can see Spectre here, like reaching out to the world, you know, because it's kind of like a cool trippy image, right? He's like, oh no, stop. Stop. You must cease this mindless battle. For while you fight, the end of all the universes is at hand. Hear the word of the Spectre and learn what you must do. The Anti-Monitor still lives, and now he seeks the destruction of all life. He has fled from his era. Oh, so he's fled. So they're running through time now, right? He has fled his era and returned to the past, before life evolved, before the earth was even formed. He has traveled to the very dawn of time itself. From there, he will change the course of all time. No longer will there be positive matter, only antimatter will prevail. All earths, all universes, all life will be illuminated. While your foe remained in the antimatter universe, I was powerless, but I saw, I observed. The Monitor recruited all people, heroes and villains, not to fight amongst themselves, but to combine their awesome powers. Half must travel to the beginning of time, and the others must go to the planet OA, where history must be changed. There must be cooperation, or all life is doomed to non-existence. Decide now. There will be no second chances. So they're like fighting amongst themselves, and he's like, you know, you gotta work together here, or like there will be no reality to even live in, right? We can still have some leverage, a world or two for our participation. And Brainiac says back to Luthor, well, perhaps, Luthor, but should they refuse, we will all be eliminated. This organism cannot accept that possibility. Call in our warriors. For now, there must be cooperation, but only for now. Oh, Jesse R., thanks for liking the live. Welcome. We are reading the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths. I've realized I've never actually read you guys the conclusion in all my reads with you guys. Okay. They meet on the great barren wastelands of Earth One's Death Valley. Rip Hunter brings his time sphere, the Legion of Superheroes, their time bubbles, the Lord of Time, his temporal transporter. More than 100 have come here, waiting for the word. I'm frightened, says Lois. I think this is Lois, yeah. And because this is like older Superman, right? He's like, guys, like silver stripes, you know? More mature Superman. frightened that I'll lose you, and scared that I'll never see you again. I want to come with you. Lois, as much as I wish it, I can't bring you. I love you. I don't want to lose you. And I love you more than I can say. You've given me so much. I can only pray that I have returned that happiness. We won't be apart, Lois. I can promise you that. But I do have to do this. It's as simple as that. I know, but I don't have to like it. But I also know what I was getting into when I married you. You're the world's most relentless Boy Scout. And I know my problem too. I wouldn't have you any other way. I will say, I love you. Just please, please come back to me. What you're talking about, Spectre, is changing history. This can't be done. Lord knows I've tried to. It can be Superman, but only at the dawn of time. Who is she, Celinda? She wears the costume of Dr. Light. I do not know, brother, but I don't like her. She shows contempt for all of the fearsome five. Space Ranger? Kryl and I diverted all of my ship's power to your time sphere. The Legion's ready to begin when you give the word. Indeed, so is the Lord of Time. Everyone ready, Spectre? Good. Then we can begin. And then the two Supermans, like younger Superman and older Superman, are here. This has got to work. And they're talking to like the one good Lex Luthor, like Alexander from like Earth 3. We learn about him like earlier on in the story. Easy, my friend, easy. Oh, I'll rest easy, Kal-El, after the anti-monitor is destroyed. You fit the converter on tight. We can't afford any mishaps right now. I still want to know what happened to the Flash. Why haven't we found him? Where is he? Something else is wrong. Something else is worrying you, Kid Flash. And what is it? Nothing, Wonder Girl. What could possibly be wrong? Let's get this show on the road. Wait, I want to join you. What? Another one of him? Why not, Peacemaker? Please, I'm Superboy from Earth Prime. You have got to bring me too. Only this one kind of shrunk in the washing. Well, I guess it's Superboy, not Superman, right? Earth Prime? I have never heard of that Earth. I thought there were only 5 Earths left. There are. It's been destroyed. I don't know what happened to you when you vanished. And it says DC Comics presents number 87 as a note from Marv Wolfman. I don't know how I disappeared, but I'm here. I'm Earth Prime's last survivor. I have a reason to join with you guys. But if you don't let me, I will just do it myself. Oh, so this specific Supergirl costume is a combination. I sew some of mine, and thanks for that question, Fast Track. This particular cosplay of mine is a special one to me of Supergirl's because I used to compete in fitness and bodybuilding. And so like all those suits, you know, with like the rhinestones and the glitter, I had a suit sponsor who did all my suits for me. And so I retired from competing in fitness and bodybuilding, I think in like, was it 2017, 2018 or so. And for my last show, I asked my suit sponsor, I was like, listen, Lisa, I brought her like a comic book and I was like, could you make me a Supergirl costume as part of like one of my last like outfits? And so she did. And so I wore this to Fan Expo of that year with my sister who is Wonder Woman. And then the rest is history. The rest of them I've kind of gotten from other places and sewn and all that kind of stuff. My college-age daughter loves your inspiration. That's really sweet. I love that. I just got full body tingles about that. Because this is cheers to also like me growing up, and I had some really awesome uh, superhero females in my life, you know, and we get to embody them in different ways. And my way of loving these characters is getting to put them on and, you know, feeling what it's like to be Supergirl, right? And, you know, when times are hard, it's not easy to do the right thing all the time, you guys. You know, it like, especially when like no one's watching and no one would know otherwise, right? If you took the easy route, or you just, you know, who would know if I just like dust like the dirt under here, like, right? But in the grand scheme of things, if you do take like the extra effort, you go back and go like, you know what, I'm gonna like double check my work. I'm gonna like check in. I'm gonna just take the breath, take the time, do good, right? And do your best, whatever that is, and not by anyone else's marker but your own, right? And yeah, just do yourself justice. Because even like how they talk about like Shazam here, the way that it's explained is that, you know, when we're children, it's a lot easier for us to, like, we're not jaded from experience, right? We have this beautiful belief in things like working out. And that's the funny thing. That's actually true. We just get like really confused and like forget and like all that kind of stuff. Oh my gosh. You know, fast track. I was that person on the school ground. you, you beat my friend, if you make fun of my friend, I'll beat you up. Right? I mean, and that's just the way it is. I was lucky enough to not be bullied, but I always felt very uncomfortable. Like things like like sitting, you know, like lunchtime, like sitting in the cafeteria, who do you get to sit with at lunch, picking partners in class, being picked on the teams and stuff. All these things that gave me such anxiety. Right? So, yeah, you know, I think many of us who have found comfort in the stories of like superheroes, you also realize a lot of these super powered heroes, they were also bullied in high school. Like Barbara Gordon, bullied in high school. Like every, like just Peter Parker, you know, like it's like, sorry, I'm nerdy. Sorry, I'm myself, right? And so it is a true act of courage to really just be yourself and love what you love, even though it's not cool or trendy or any of this kind of stuff, right? Um, yeah, and from the six, yeah, but it's also even character types like Kara and Superman, right? Like the fact that like your alter ego, you don't need the credit. I don't need people to know that it's me doing good in the world. It just needs to happen. That's that's the higher level of it. Like, and the difference between being like celebrity versus being a true hero, right? And certain figures who do get mythologized, and we sometimes conflate the actor playing that role with like the character that they're playing, right? And there is sometimes a fit there, right? It's more than likely that people who truly are able to embody those characters in their own, let's say, source personality type, they are probably a lot like that character, right? So that's what I think. That's why like in acting, there's just like that's us as human beings, like your eye for things, right? Like when you have like, oh, like I really like how they pulled that off. I really like this version of how they did that character. And that is personal preference. I've had like huge conversations with like my sister who's a very uh she just likes what she likes, and she's very like you know, stuck on it. Like, and I like just having like conversations. I like it when people like things that I don't necessarily like. But just because I don't like something doesn't mean that I hate on it. Do you know what I mean? Like there's too much stuff to like love that like why am I gonna waste my time going out of my way to like point at and like make fun of you for liking something that I'm just not into, right? And maybe I'm not into it just because I just don't know about it yet, right? And then maybe you can show me why you like it so much, and then now I like it too. which like has happened with me and girlfriends of mine when it comes to things like comic books, right? Because comic books are very more masculine, right? Me and my sister grew up kind of tomboyish, like playing video games and all that kind of stuff. So we had a really varied friend group when it came to that. But you know, that's just what you like, right? Okay, let's continue on where we're going to finish off Crisis on Infinite Earths. And also just from in my own life, I've been going through my own personal crisis, right? Coming back to myself, right? I have gone through a very like traumatic childhood, and coming back and coming to being who you are and like chasing your dreams and doing things that perhaps no one has yet done. Kind of fun, you know? And so I welcome for you guys who are on that path to realize that when you are on the right path, typically when you are a bright light, there's going to be shadow, right? And to just have the strength to keep walking it and know in your heart of hearts that you're right, right? And you can have little safe houses and checkpoints to take a breath and be like, okay, am I going in the wrong direction here? And to be okay about to backtrack and just check and, you know, maybe pick up some friends along the way on your quest. Okay, so Earth Boy, so if you guys aren't familiar with like Superboy and Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes, there's a whole timeline with that, which includes Crypto and explains why Crypto and Supergirl exist in the first place if Kal-El is supposed to be the sole survivor of Krypton, right? But I'm not going to get into that just yet. We're going to just finish this up. So I'm going to just flip a little faster here just so we can get into it, because I have realized what happens at the end of this story is important to the rest of what happens with the DC multiverse, right? You end up with like the New 52 and you end up with these different canons, but there is like a point in time which is like in 1985, which is when this was released, where you end up consolidating a lot of the storylines, right? Okay, everyone is in place. All of the power is being fed into the time machines. Gold, you're certain you can survive the current we've been conducting through you. Dr. Magnus believes so, Dr. Hunter. That's good enough for this metal man. Then, our prayers are with you. Are our electricity-based volunteers ready? A few are a little edgy, but we're all set. We need all this power. And our magnetic friends are in place too. So see how they have the different powers? Like the electrical people, the magnetic people. So you're going to make electromagnetic energy to deal with time. Haha, learning about science through comic books, right? Time travel. So, you sure you're okay, Wally? I said I was. Let's do what we have to. All electrical power on. Ah, more power than I imagined. But I can't give into it. I can't. I have to focus all that electromagnetic energy into the time spheres. There are 2 points of focus, 2 eras to be traveled to. The Lord of Time begins his movement. Aboard his ship, dozens of supervillains crash through the temporal barrier to a time 10 billion years in the past. Flashes, get ready. Do your stuff now. They don't know, can't know. The faster I go, the faster I'm killing myself. But this is more than just Wally West, Kid Flash. Alex, hold on. This is it. The magnetic field erupts with energy. If all those years with the Flash or alongside the Teen Titans taught me anything, it's that some things are more important than your own life. Opening the door into time. In space, They have all vanished into the past, moving to the time before time begins. Chances for success, 0.000362. My chances for survival, 0.00436. Those are very low chances. I must shut down all biosensory functions should my physical presence be eliminated. There is still a 0.043 possibility that my electronic intellect can survive. And beneath the 7 seas, Mira? Lori? She's all right, isn't she? So this is in Atlantis. No, she's dead. You're going to tell me Tula's dead. Do something about it. All those people have superpowers. They have to be able to help her. They can make her live again, can't they? They can. They can. Gareth, nobody has that power. I'm sorry. But I loved her. I loved her so much. I've tried going to the dawn of time, but I've always failed. Even I don't have that sort of power. But now, with all the electromagnetic energy of those heroes and villains pushing me forward, nothing is impossible. Nothing. Superman has to get me to the past before all the others, so I can open the door to the antimatter universe. But I'm scared. It's all up to me now. It's all up to me. No pressure, you know. There is nothingness here. Nothingness without end, without hope. And they have emerged into this nothingness, this time, before thought, before creation. The Anti-Monitor. I have been awaiting your arrival here. Indeed, I have been disappointed that it has taken you this long to find me. Or maybe it's a trap. Oh no. Go back quickly. For heaven's sake, don't stay here. He has me trapped. Don't let him capture you too. I caused this. Oh my gosh, Pariah. I brought the Anti-Monitor back to life even as I destroyed my own universe. Don't worry about me. Destroy him. Fool, you did nothing but open the antimatter portal to the dawn of time. Did you truly believe mere scientific investigation could unleash forces great enough to destroy a universe? No, but I took advantage of your experiment. I converted the antimatter into energy, which I focused into your universe, destroying those worlds to gather even more energy. Only then was I powerful enough to break free of my prison and to spread my rule. I didn't kill my people, my world, my universe, asks Pariah. By the Creator, Pariah didn't destroy my family? No, but I shall use you to destroy all of existing life. Then, at last, I shall be free to rebuild the antimatter universe in my own image, like any good tyrant, right? Don't believe it, Monitor, says Superman. As far as I'm concerned, you're already dead. Attack! And they do, 50 strong, the most powerful beings who have ever lived, or who will ever live. Combined, their powers could decimate a solar system. But the Anti-Monitor has absorbed the total energy of his entire universe. Batman, we haven't got any powers. What can we do? And Batman says, we can share our courage, and we can give them hope. Oh, we reached. Oh, thank you for the heart me, and we have completed my fan quest. Yay, Cosmic Comic Book Club friends. I'm Supergirl Kara Zor-El. We're reading the finale of Crisis on Infinite Earths. So we have 50 strong villains and heroes teaming up together. They're at the dawn of time to stop the anti-monitor from destroying all of existence. No pressure, we got this. We move forward from the dawn of creation to a time only 10 billion years ago. Do whatever you have to. It is to this time and place that Luther has brought his warriors. We must reach Krona before his experiment creates the multiverse and the antimatter universe. To the positive matter universe and the planet Oa. These Oaans are expendable, and Krona must be killed. I do not know who those humanoids are, but they attack us. They must not destroy our property. And yet, I sense they somehow wish to help us. Perhaps they do. But that is not of any immediate concern. We have our property to protect. Ah, my head! It feels like it's exploding. What are they doing to us? This group is now harmless, but there are others still loose. This is it, Krona's laboratory. This is where he accidentally created the multiverse. Malador is ready. Nothing can stop me now. Give me a break, Mally. The toughest part is still ahead. Speaking of which, Krona's screen, the one which he saw the hand we were told about. What hand, Mirror Master? Who cares, Icicle? It's not important. Stand back, pals and gals, while I use my specially prepared mirror to shatter that screen to sharp shards and smithereens. Hold it there, wise glass. Who better than the Icicle to put this infinite Earth scheme on ice? Oh my gosh, are they competing in like catchphrases? It's kind of funny. You two argue while Malador smashes that screen. Dolts. Did you really believe I would leave my laboratory unattended when I'm so close to success? If the others promised you riches to stop my forbidden experiments, you have just received your reward. Death, total, final, and everlasting. Ooh, craziness. I'm powering through just because I want to finish. And I started late. So thank you guys for joining. We're going to get to the end of this, baby. Here we go. I led you fools to the dawn of creation. I waited here until you appeared. I needed you. I needed your life forces. I needed your energies. Oh, thank you, my R2D2 cup. Perfect for like hydration juices. R2D2 is like your ultimate, like all through the Star Wars movies, your friendly help to open doors, unlock things, that kind of stuff. Okay, so for I expended my own in breaching the walls of creation. There, your own energies shall change the course of history, for only here, before creation, can the future be changed. When Krona taps the cosmic forces opening the door between matter and antimatter, it shall be my hand he sees, my hand which shall destroy the positive matter universe, multiverse, for now and forever. My hand which shall make the antimatter universe supreme. You fools have given me the power to change the course of history. The multiverse will no longer exist. All life will be destroyed. After 10 billion years, I shall be victorious. And Pariah's like, in the animated movie, they kind of make Pariah Constantine, which is kind of fun. We'll revisit that, I think, in the future. Okay. No, you can't do this. You can't. Stop him. Somebody stop him. But nobody can, for it is their power which holds them back, even as it shatters the portal between matter and antimatter at the very dawn of time. But Then I feel a force resisting me. Who cares? I dare, cruel one, and I will stop you. Yay, Spectre! So he's like, okay, this is enough now. Existence, not on my watch. As you have absorbed the powers of those great earthly heroes, the spectre shall absorb those of the sorcerers. Their magics flow into me. Their great powers become mine. And you can see all of the magic users, Zatanna, Dr. Fate, ever like teaming up to give Spectre their magic powers, right? Collaborative magic, baby. We resist you, Monitor. We will not surrender. Back, Monitor, back down into the pit. We shall force you to return to hell. No, concentrate. The Spectre needs more power. The Anti-Monitor resists us, and he must be contained. Let's see if I can make this a little bit darker so it's less glare. But we cannot kill him, or all of our comrades in arms, all of our friends whose power he steals will die. Look there, Krona's screen appears. They lost. Then the villains couldn't stop him. Then we have lost as well. You talk of legends of destruction. Should I learn the truth? You are a dolt. In his own laboratory, 1 billion years from the dawn of creation, Krona runs, or turns rather, from the questions. The questioning cans towards his screen. Now, Krona, open the portal, peer back to the dawn of creation. Do it now, now, now. No, we have not lost. Not yet. Thank you. More power. I need more strength. More. The energy explodes inside him. It rips through his being and his mind, through each and every atom. The specter screams in pain. He is a funnel, a conduit. More energy pours into him. More power funnels through him. He sees worlds that have never existed and never will. He sees shapes and colors and patterns and concepts of, undreamt of, unseen of, unknown of, even by his master. And the specter screams again. And the universe explodes around him. And from the dawn of creation comes death. It is the end of all that was. To be continued. Oh my goodness. This is Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is the story from 1985. This is a very special story to me because 1985 was also the year I was born, so I came into form at this time too. Also, 1985 was when Watchmen came out too. So interesting to note stories that come into form when you come into form, and ones that you find resonance with, or that like you know, the rabbit holes you jump into to try to like find out more about the hidden lore and all that kind of stuff. All of that I think is a bit more important than I think a lot of us would give it credit for. So I'm just here to remind you of that. So let's read a few more panels. I thought I would be able to finish it, but maybe not. It's getting a little late. All right. In the beginning, there were many, a multiversal infinitude, so cold and dark for so very long that even the burning light was imperceptible. But then the light grew, and the universe, the multiverse, shuddered, and the darkness screamed as much as in pain as relief. For in that instant, a universe was born. A universe with Mighty worlds orbiting burning suns, a universe reborn at the dawn of time. What had been many has now become one. Aftershock. It is a sunny morning in Metropolis in 1985. Coffee and tea begin to brew as yawns replace snores. And in apartment 3D at 344 Clinton Street, oh, what a horrible dream. It was the end of everything. My Earth, Kal-Els, all those others. But it's obvious everything is the way it's always been. I'm home and, what's with the decor? Did Lois redo the apartment while I was... Wait, where have I been? I must have been exhausted. I can't remember anything. Lois probably went to work and let me sleep late. Obviously, I needed it. What a bizarre dream. Clark, you're getting old. Maybe it's time to think of retiring, or at least taking some time off. Power Girl can pick up on the slack while I'm gone. Could use some time away from the Daily Star, too. Too much pressure. So they call it the Daily Star here in his world, right? Daily Star is closer to like the Star here in Toronto. And remember, Joe Shuster from Toronto is the illustrator of Superman. Fun. Too much pressure. I became a reporter to be on my own. Being the editor of the Star keeps me in board meetings, making business decisions from 8 to 8. Well, like the young people say, I knew it was a dangerous job when I took it. Is that what the young people say? I don't know. Nothing new, I see. Tensions in the Middle East. Inflation is up 1 point. All is normal. Normal and boring. When are things going to get exciting? Be careful what you wish for, Clark Kent. It just may come true. Great Caesar's ghosts. Who in blazes are you? What are you doing in my office and my chair? Take a look, pal. See the name of my drawer? It says White. Perry White. Not Joe Schmo or who the heck you are. Perry White? This must be Earth 1. Now, unless this is your name, get out of here. I heard the commotion. There you are, Uncle Clark. Kent? I should have realized you would be behind this. What is going on here? I'm sorry, Perry. This is my Uncle Clark. The one I was named after. Please, Perry, don't mind him. I told him I was, more than just a reporter here. I said I was an editor. You understand, don't you? No, I don't, Kent. And what's more, I don't even care. So that's Clark's uncle. 2 peas in a pod, I see. Absent-mindedness runs in the family. Nice to know there are some consistent things in the universe. Lois? A few minutes later, I thought it had all been a dream, but it's true. And somehow I appeared on Earth 1. No problem. I'll fly with you to New York. The warp zone bridge between the Earths. The sooner I get home, the happier I'll be. It's been too long since I saw Lois. And the two of them fly off. You know, you ought to consider settling down with your Lois. Nothing like a good marriage. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I'm still puzzling over what happened. We were at the dawn of time. I remember a duel between the Spectre and the Monitor. The next thing I recall was waking up in my office at the Planet. Like nothing ever happened. You say nobody remembered the strange weather the Earth suffered? No, but I found reference to Kara's death, that she died fighting in some battle. They know Supergirl died, but not how. Strange. There's no Washington Square, but there's the police corridor to keep people out of the zone. What zone? I don't see anything. Curiouser and curiouser, and and little Alice. There's some policemen. They'll be able to help. Superman? Hey, this is great. I'm Jerry Thomas. Wow. Meeting Superman himself. Wow. Officer, what happened to the police corridor? Corridor? Sorry, Superman. Nothing like that was ever here. Nothing like that for the last few months. Hey, Gotham Bitch, and this is the thing where I'm going to end it. So the aftershock, just to explain what happened, we started the story, right, with a multiverse, right? Lots of different Earths. The Anti-Monitor came, and he, like, took out most of it. But what ended up happening is that all the Earths consolidated into one Earth. So what you'll end up finding is that this Superman did not end up on Earth 1. He ended up in the consolidated universe. And lucky for him, his Lois, they ended up saving her because she's like the older Lois. They like put her in like a little pocket universe and like, because like, of course, right? Oh yeah, it would be. But like, you know what? They've failed to do this many times live action. The animated movie of this, where they involve Constantine as Spectre and the concept of what it means to consolidate those universes. And Lois says something really nice to Clark before they go into that universe, right? Because there's like, you know, infinite Superman, infinite Lois Lanes. And so like, what about my version, right? There's my version of you, right? And before they go into like the consolidated world, Clark and Lois look at each other, and Lois says to Clark that, like, if there is a Lois and there is a Clark in this universe, trust me, they will find each other, and I will find you, because that's just the way it works. All right, guys. So thanks, you guys, for joining me for this read of Crisis on Infinite Earth. Kind of the conclusion. We went to the aftershock a little bit. We'll talk about that a little bit more going forward in terms of time travel, but this is where I'll end it. So I hope you guys have a beautiful night. Thank you for joining me. And remember, it takes true courage. Yes, please do Zona X. I'm still organizing myself. It comes to my own personal video library with all the reads, as well as Cosmic Comic Book Club, which I'm going to hopefully have even like a live action in real life version of it. So hopefully we can talk more about that coming. Oh, Sky, thank you. And I appreciate you guys too, right? Remember, stories take people listening to it, right? The other end of that conversation. So thank you guys for giving me your sacred attention, right? It is Saturday, Gwen Stacy, so happy Saturday. Happy Supergirl Saturday. Okay? So remember, it takes true courage for you to be exactly you in this cosmic game of life. So be sure to have the courage to show up as exactly you, because guess what? The universe is counting on you. But no worries, I have your back. Till next time, my friends, stay super. Sweet dreams.